In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, in Amen we trust, as the Republic of Mentellect, the real 144,000 being gathered in this day and time, the mentalists. I mean, to all of my mentalist family out there, registered members of the Republic of Mentellect, and to all future mentalists who have yet to find their way home to the Republic of Mentellect, which is Amen's community. I send greetings out to you, and I send peace out to you in our Amenic language by saying to you, Menzaka Aminun. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual leader, MENKARAYZZ. And this is Mentellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the debunking of the Pan Africanism and the ancestral DNA nonsense. The people who have clearly been targeted for this so-called ancestral DNA is black people. I'm going to just say it like that. They're clearly the people from this guy, Henry Louis Gates, Skip Gates, ancestral DNA. When you start seeing things like that, when you start seeing television shows like Roots show up, right? Because according to, Roots, that's what basically started to signify that whole we all was black and we come from Africa on slave ships and all this other nonsense, right? Because if you look at the time in which Roots, right, which was called a so-called American staple and, drama, because it was the most watched series of that time in the 70s, Roots, right? They've been trying to push the narrative for the longest time that so-called black people in this country are the product of slave ships being brought here on slave ships. Right? Being brought here in chains and bondage. They've been trying to push that narrative for the last 400 some odd years. Right? But we're going to debunk that. I talked on this yesterday, but I felt the need to go into more detail, more depth on this, as I will be doing periodically. But this whole nonsense thing of life starting in Africa, the first human life starting in Africa, let's clarify the first human life starting in Africa. When again, we logically and realistically know, because the B says all human life started in Africa. But if you say life come out of water, how did life start in the landmass? How do you say that life started in Africa if you say that all life started in water? Which water would that be? Which water would that be? If you say that life started in Africa, right, on landmass, but then you turn around and say all life comes out of the water. Which one is it? What is the origin of human life? Is it the waters of Africa? Because that's a broad terminology. Or is it the landmass, the dirt of the ground, the dust of the ground, as they say? Because even in your so-called Bible, they're talking about people coming from the dust of the ground. But then I heard the Israelites say that all life come from water. So which one is it? Did life start in water, or did it start on the earth, on ground? Because that totally debunks the whole thing. If we acknowledge and we bear witness that life, according to how they say, started in water, right, then that means that life couldn't have started on some landmass called Africa. That's what that means. If you want to say life was created in some waters near Africa, that's speculative, because water moves. What if the water moved from Africa and went to someplace else? We're just being hypothetical here. See, because people who push this nonsense, and like I said, logically, everybody knows life started in water. People push this nonsense. I was watching this lady who was an Egyptologist yesterday, this white woman, right? And she's a white woman who, and I'm going to put this broadcast up that she had on her channel. She just came out and really said, a lot of these people who pushing this science, the so-called genealogy and all this other stuff, from talking about so-called scientists pushing this whole idea of life starting in Africa, this genealogy thing, or the same people that said the Egyptians ain't bronze people, all this stuff like that, saying that, same scientists who said that scientifically black people's brains are smaller than white people's, and their brains are more narrow, so they can't think on a certain level than white people. These are same scientists who push Pan-Africanism that told us that life started in Africa, because Pan-Africanism is built off of Caucasian or white genealogy and white scientific genealogy. They the ones that said life started in Africa, did they not? Because had they not said that, no so-called black people would have thought that life started in Africa. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? I want y'all to tell me in my chat group, would they have said that life started in Africa if they wasn't going off of what some white scientists said about where life started at? Right? Would the Pan-Africanists be believing that? If the white scientists would have said all life started in Europe, what would the Pan-Africanists have said then? What would the Pan-Africanists have said then if those same white scientists would have said life started in Europe or in Asia or in the early Americas? What would they have said then? What would they have said if the oldest, according to what we see, the oldest living people is the Asians or the Asiatic Asians or whatever, the Asian people and whatnot, with the slanted eyes, and all life come from them? What would the Pan-Africanists have said then? The answer, they would have been saying we all Asiatics. That's what they would have been saying. My point in saying this all is that these people who stand on this nonsense that we came from Africa, that we originate in Africa, that our life started in Africa, don't know what the hell they talking about. They don't know what the hell they talking about. They logically don't know what, logically you could tell they don't know what they're saying. And their assertion that we came from some Africa, West Africa, some other nonsense, that our origins are there, that's a load of foolishness that they got from the white man. These fake white scientists who have an agenda for pushing us as so-called Africans, so-called primitive dark people. They have an agenda to push that. You understand that? They have an agenda. And what is the agenda? What the white woman said. They're trying to push racial eugenics and racial superiority. Those black people over there in Africa are primitive like the animals just because we just so happen to go to a certain part in Africa and we know it's a lot of so-called black people over there. But wait a minute, it was black people every goddamn way. It was black people, so-called black people, bronze people everywhere, even in Europe. But you won't say that the life started in Europe or these other places because white people have established their space of origin as Europe, their place of origin as Europe. They have said that this is there. So they'll look to you and they'll go to the most primitive parts of the world, certain parts in Africa where they primitive as hell there, and they'll say, oh, all life started there, all black people come from that. When they know damn well they done had societies all over the planet of bronze people who are highly advanced, highly skilled. See, that's the type of bronze people they don't want to promote. They don't want to promote the bronze people, that are highly skilled, highly intelligent, built societies and governments. They don't want to promote that. They don't want to promote the early Americans, meaning the Olmecs and the Incas. They don't want to promote the Egyptians as bronze. They don't want to promote the Mayans and all those people, or the Chaldeans and all these other people here, or what's the group? The ones with Incan and the Sumerians. They don't want to promote them as bronze people. They'll say they mixed race or they something else because and they really didn't even want to promote the Nubians back then as bronze people, but they had no other choice. They hide all those things and they want to tie you to a primitive origin. They want to tie you to some origin where everybody walking around butt naked with their ass out and their breast out and everybody just walking around painted up. That's what they want to tie you to. You know what that would be like? I'm going to tell you what that would be like. That would be like if I was a historian and I looked back at Caucasians and their history and I went to a goddamn trailer park and somewhere in middle America, or I went to the worst places where white people are, and I went to a trailer park and said, yeah, this is what white people, this is white civilization right here. The hell with England, America, and anything else where white people, have established some sort of civilization for themselves, any prominence. I'm going to bypass all that, and I'm going to go to the trailer park. I'm going to go to the trailer park and find the worst places and then say that's really what white people are. You understand that? They're trying to promote you as savages. They're trying to promote you as savages. That's why they tell you that life started in Africa with the monkeys and that you was in Africa and that life is, and you African, because you already know what African is synonymous with. Y'all already know what Africa is synonymous with. Well, I don't care how much you say, oh, it's so much civilization there, it's so much this, that. You already know what the white man tied Africa to. He said that Africans are a bunch of savages and that him as a Caucasian white man, or Caucasians, and everybody was smart enough to go over to Africa, take their resources, people into slavery and whatnot. This is what he promoted them as, a bunch of tribal, ignorant savages. This is what the Africans are promoted as. All that Pan-African crap, that's what y'all came up with in the goddamn 60s. Trying to be proud of being called African. But you already know what Africa is promoted as by the white man and why he wanted to call you African Americans. You already know. You already know why he had to then reinforce that lie of us being Africa, or being from Africa, and being African Americans as immigrants, because they had to see, because what had happened was, as they say in the 60s, people started that cultural awareness and starting to look into things themselves. You see? People started to look into things, look back at history. You have people like Ivan Van Sertima before that time writing books about they came before Columbus and stuff like that. See, people like Ivan Van Sertima, the guy Deal, and all these other people that put out the books on the Olmecs and the Aztec and saying they were originally, they were bronze, so-called black civilizations that came before the so-called white man, before the so-called Indians, before all these people. They was the first civilization. They couldn't have you thinking like that. They couldn't have that. Meaning the elites, the ones who run the society, the immigrant Americans, the immigrant white Americans, the ones who are in charge right now, and the ones abroad. They couldn't have you thinking like that. So what did they do? They got Alex Haley, right, to come up with the biggest scam and the biggest lie and the biggest tale that they can do, called Roots. They got that nigger, Alex Haley, that boule nigger, that liar, the same one who made up their stories about Malcolm X, wrote a lot of the biography of Malcolm X and filled in and made up things and played up things that didn't even exist. They bringing that out. They got Alex Haley to make up this lie called Roots, a lie that they still got going, where his so-called ancestors came over, named Kunta Kinte, and he came over on a goddamn slave ship and got their skin whooped off his back and his foot cut off and all this other crap. They had a daughter he got with a slave woman. They had a daughter, and the daughter was Tizzy, and she went to a white man who popped her, and then she got goddamn Chicken George, and all that mulatto got mixed up. That's the story they tell. And that was a mini-series back in the 70s. I remember when that first came on, people were sitting up here watching that. They made that a big mini-series on ABC. How many of y'all remember that? Exactly. In fact, they were Muslims too. Exactly, that they were Muslims. Why? How many of y'all remember that? That was a big mini-series, 3 or 4 nights. On it, and they tried to redo it and make it a big mini-series, but they didn't do it on ABC. They did it on TNT or something like that. They redid it. You understand? But they really redid it because they wanted to push that whole connection. I told you, the so-called black woman with the white man, because they played up that part in the Roots where the white man had sex with her and she had Chicken George, and they made sure they made him a little lighter skin this time, a mulatto. You see, and everybody was going for that story. Everybody went for that story. Why would they put that story out? Could it been the mindset to reinforce a slave mentality in black people? Because in the 70s, you do know our people were starting to raise up mentally. Our people were starting to raise up to a higher level mentally. We was wearing our natural hair, our fros and our braids. We was wearing our natural hair. We started raising up mentally. We was becoming more and more aware of who we were. There was more pride. So, and of course, we dominated the music in the 70s. So, what had to happen? What had to happen? What always happens when the beast starts feeling as though you niggas are getting too big for your britches. You getting too proud. You too proud of who you is. Remember, y'all ain't nothing but some niggas who was brought over here in slavery and we whooped your ass into submission because you niggas was getting proud in the 70s, according to the white men. That's why they had to put Roots out. You niggas was getting too goddamn proud. You understand that? Bring you back down into your place. Get you emotional again. Get you hating the white man again. You understand? Basically getting you to remember your place. Remember your history. But there was a problem there. There was an issue there. How many of y'all know that Mr. Alex Haley plagiarized Roots? Factual. Look it up. How many of you know he plagiarized it? That it was a lie. That nigga lied. Alex Haley lied. He sat up here and talked about his family and you ever see this nigga in the beginning of the Roots thing on ABC where he's up here talking about how his family and Chicken George and Kizzy and then they turn around after they knew this nigga lied and give him another deal for that for the screenplay Queen. Where Halle Berry was in. That was another part of his family. Some slave tale. And then he got sued for Roots by a white man wrote the story Roots. He got, and the name of the story was The African. I forget what the name of the story was when a white man wrote it, but he got sued in the upstate New York court for plagiarizing this man's story, for stealing this man's story down to the Kunta Kinte and everything. He got sued for that. And he won, and the white man won, and the white man made Alex Haley apologize to him. Look that up. You mean to tell me that ABC, a big multimedia conglomerate, didn't know that they were purchasing the rights to a stolen property, a stolen intellectual property from Mr. Alex Haley? You mean to tell me they didn't know that? Or did they cut that white man a check to buy him off and to buy his silence to kill that story? Why would they do that? Because you ain't never heard this story. I'm bringing this story up, but you can't hide it. Why would Alex Haley have to plagiarize a white man's story about slavery? Why would he have to do that? Answer, because the white men, the ones that control this thing, they needed a good slave narrative. Something to get niggas in my seat. Because early in the 70s, they had a few slave movies, like Mandingo and stuff like that. They had like Mandingo, and a few other slave movies and whatnot. But it wasn't as potent as putting it on TV. See, because people watch TV for free. People can always not go to a slave movie or go to that movie. But they wanted you to watch this because that was meant to be programming. That was meant to be programming not only for black people, but for white people too. That was meant to be programming. You understand? Programming 101. For you white people who was out there starting to think that, we're all the same, black and white, and we're all the same. And, hey, you white people, we used to own these niggas, right? That's really what that was. You know who used to own these niggas, right? Right? And to the niggas, you niggas used to be owned by us, right? Just a reminder, just a friendly reminder. And Roots, that's what they were going for. That's what they were going for. A friendly reminder of your so-called occupation in this country. How you got here. Or so they say. So they say. This is how you got here. They're trying to reinforce that again, and they'll go as far as science. They'll go as far as getting these pro-black niggas to reinforce it. They'll go as far as to get a lot of people to reinforce this lie. They'll go as far as to get a lot of people to reinforce this lie that we all got here by slave ships. That the white man conquered us and whipped the skin off our backs. They'll go through a lot to get that going. Talk about how they had the slave auctions and things like that, and the slaves on auction, right? And how they was bringing the slaves off the boats. And I talked about this the other day. I'm like, wow, they brought a bunch of diseased, sick people, right, off of a ship. They wanted to be around diseased, sick people, right, who were in the smell off the slave ships of feces and urine and blood from the women having a period. That's what they want. That's what you want to go and get and buy. You with people throwing water on them. These people, you basically bringing a damn germ farm to the shores. The people being sick. The whites that was watching. You know, they probably had all kind of nasty diseases already. They damn self. You know what I'm saying? Had all kinds of diseases, they damn self. So this is what you want to bring here over and over. And you want to purchase these people who cannot speak English, who you're going to have to beat the hell out of, and they're going to fight you, and you're going to have to kill some of them, not to mention the ones you lost on the way here. Does that sound economically right? I don't care what they said. I don't want you to tell me what logically makes sense. Maybe once, twice, maybe 2, 3 times, they'll try that out. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to go but so far. It's not going to go but so far. Because all you would have to do, and that's what they did, was pass laws, like I told you the other day, in certain states that that slavery is in effect, and whatever so-called black people who were free at one time, whatever so-called black people are in those areas, you are allowed to take hold of them and put them in slavery. That's what happened. I told y'all that. That's what they're trying to hide. It wasn't no bringing no slips on slaves on those ships and all this other garbage. Like I said, that happened here and there. It wouldn't have made no sense to do that. You see, I don't know why black people think this is such a big jump. Because, see, black people don't think logically. They think emotionally. So they all caught into the whole, oh, we was bought here as slaves, and they beat the hell out of us, and the people sold us into slavery and this and the third. But it's funny how they can never come up with none of these so-called African chiefs that were selling the other Africans into slavery. You ever come up with one of these names or identify these people? You ever see that? Let me take a call. 856.
Yeah. So wouldn't it logically be that if they were able to bring all those slaves over here, wouldn't they need a carnival-sized cruise ship? I mean,
exactly.
Like the technology, wouldn't they? I mean, to move that many humans back and forth across the waters, you would need something large, which they didn't have. All right, that's all. I just wanted to say that.
And then take into mind, like I said the other day, you got half these people coming in sick. They don't know how to take care of these people. They don't know the food sources is bad. You know what I'm saying? The rations and whatnot. These people are pissing on each other and whatnot. They spraying water. Like I said, maybe a few times that happened, but after a while, everybody, over the long run, would that be? I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it didn't happen on that level. It damn sure couldn't have happened on that level because look at all the loss you take. You understand?
Right.
Look at all the loss you take. Look at all you bringing people from a whole other continent that don't speak the language. How you gonna make them work? Does that even make sense?
Not at all.
Yeah. See, but black people don't think like this. Niggas are slow because they go for that whole story. Oh, we brought you over here, and they get emotional and they don't logically start thinking. But thank you for calling in, brother. Thank you.
All right.
We got to start thinking about things people tell us. You know, like I said, niggas get emotional, like that old nigga that was on here the other night, the old Negro that was on here the other night. Well, from what I know, that I was, you know, my family was slaves and we came from Louisiana and whatever, man. There's black people all over this country. You understand? Especially in the southern parts. Florida, Louisiana, there was black people everywhere. And they didn't come from no slave shit. That's a lie. They was already in here. You're going to get the people who already know how to build. Yeah, you're right. Most of the buildings and things you see and whatnot, especially the White House, you going to tell me that was built by slave labor? Really? Who taught them? Who taught them how to build? Wouldn't that sound more like free people that was living here already, who already knew how to build and do all that stuff, and had those trades who they took and kidnapped and forced to work? Wouldn't that sound about right? Because these Caucasians over here, they ain't know how to build a goddamn thing. They made the niggas build. They plantations, everything. They took skilled people that lived here already and kidnapped them and forced them to build it. That's what happened. There was always skilled laborers here. Always people building stuff here. That goes all the way back to the Olmecs, to the Inca, who we as so-called black people in America are really the descendants of. And even if you had certain people that came over here, let's just say they came over here by way of a slave trade. They done mixed in already with the free bronze people who's here, so they part of the bronze. They part of this bronze lineage now here as free people because they got free genetics and those who were born here, the indigenous here already. So they mixed in already. So no, we're not no product of slavery. They're gonna sit here and tell you because again, this is why they had to push roots because then you started asking questions. Well, then, what happened to all those Olmec people? They was here in America for hundreds and hundreds of years. They go all the way, the Olmecs go all the way back to the Egyptians. They found them here like earlier sites before the Egyptians. That's pretty old. So we supposed to just deny that? And they said they wasn't tribal African because they were very advanced in their building. They had a bunch of lords and things like that and governing body because everybody was trying to say there was some tribal people that came here and was trading. No, they was coming here to trade. And this goes all the way back to the ancient Egyptians, the Olmecs. They had their own setup. They had their own body of governing, which the Incas took on as well, which is an extension of them, the Inca, which again, like I said, their societies were going for 300, 400, 500, 600 years, up to 1,000 years, their societies were going. But something more mysteriously happened, they want to tell you. They want to tell you these people weren't bronze people. They weren't so-called black people, but they were brown people. They were brown people. What does that mean? They want to tell you, oh, no, see, those were brown people. Those wasn't black people. Those Olmecs, those Inca, those Aztecs, those Mayans, those were the black, those were brown people. Those were the Mexican people. I just asked, well, first of all, where did they come from with that? Because the Mexicans, and I told you, the Mexicans, go back and trace the genealogy of the Mexicans and the so-called Indians. You will find that they are Asiatic people. They are Asiatics. They said that the Olmecs that came here, they used the terminology were of negroid descent. They did not, and I got the in the book, and I got on the video that they were purely of Negro descent. These were the people that, like geologists and all of them at that time, who said these were purely people of Negro descent, aka so-called black people, bronze people. That's what they were saying. Woolly-haired bronze people, here wearing helmets and crowns in America. Before the white man got here, before the Asians got here and mixed in with us and became the so-called Native American Indians, way before they got here. That's our origin here in America. They want to tell you that, oh, all of a sudden, these niggas are so simple-minded. They tell you, oh, all of a sudden, those people just disappeared. Off the Olmecs, and the Inca people and all of those, they descended, they just disappeared. And y'all believe that? So let me get this straight. These people had their own system in society, government set up here, and they having children. You know how niggas are. They having children, they having babies, they have side babies all over. So all of a sudden, they just disappear. Their children just disappear. They just disappear off the face of the earth. Then all of a sudden, here's the Indians, these Asiatic-looking Indians with feathers in their hair. Then all of a sudden, they just pop on the scene, huh? From where? You know why? That's the part they take out. Oh, the Olmecs and the Incas and all those people, first of all, they definitely wasn't black people. They wasn't black. They wasn't Negro. But they didn't have any children. They children, and they just faded away. They just went away. They just went away. Really? So you don't say that their children can't be here in America? Their children, their descendants are not here in America? That's funny. Right. They just vanished. Right? They just couldn't find it. Or how about the people who you're calling African Americans and Negroes and claiming that these people come from Africa, these African Americans here in America are really their descendants? Hello? They really their descendants, that we are the only real indigenous and Native Americans here. How about that? And that when the white man them came, they took our people into slavery because we were already here. They were taking our people and just kidnapping them, just walking up and taking them and forcing them to be enslaved by the gun and groups. That's what happened. We're not Africans. We are Americans. The first Americans. The real Americans. We didn't get here by immigration or forced immigration, because you hear these Caucasians, they'll sit up here and say, oh, this sounds like some revisionist history. Really? Oh, in other words, it sounds like I'm making it up. Really? All you gotta do is look back at this. They right now coming with some revisionist history. Caucasians, they saying that black people didn't get here through slavery. They saying you came through forced immigration. They already changing up the words already. But yet, when we tell the truth, oh, that's revised history. Their whole history's revised. They're going to tell you the Olmec people just disappeared. The Inca, all those people, their children, all these people disappeared. That they wasn't so-called black people. They want to wipe that all away. That's why they keep on producing slave movies and things like that, because they got to keep on getting you to think that you come from Africa and that you came here as a slave, and not make the connection as the real Indigenous Americans, the real Native Americans. No, we do not come from no Africa. We don't have no origins in Africa. That's a lie. Our origins are here in America. Now, you simple-ass Negroes who sit here and talk about, oh, well, America ain't no climate for black people. What are you talking about? We can live in all climates. Cold, hot, warm, rainy. We've been doing it. Simple Negroes said, oh, well, it was too cold. We wouldn't live in we living in cold climate now. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You see, you got to watch these simple-minded Negroes. You got to watch these simple-minded Negroes. You understand that? They said that the Olmecs were an advanced Negro civilization that had their own governing body, their own architecture and things like that. See, that's what they don't want you to know. It's better for the narrative to push whites as real Americans. It's better to push you as a bunch of slaves that they brought over here to work. That's all, a bunch of conquered, ignorant niggas that they brought over here to work. That works better in their narrative. But see, the truth always comes out. The truth comes out. You see? And they don't want that reality to come out. I just showed you the guy disabled, a guy who, like I said, you had a few places that was started by bronze people. But the guy disabled, the Haitian bronze man, the so-called black man who was the first to settle Chicago, they tell you obviously it was bronze people here that was moving freely, that we wasn't here. They want you to believe we got here, all we came here to do is be slaves, and we couldn't move nowhere, and we were slaves, and that's why we got here because we were slaves, and yeah, we got here because we were slaves, and yeah, don't forget y'all were slaves. Come on, man. Come on, man. All falsehood will be exposed. And like I told you, you got a lot of black butt kissers who want to keep the illusion going because they get a paycheck. They get a paycheck for pulling off that lie of our people being enslaved here. I'm not saying some of our people weren't enslaved here, but it wasn't all of them. It wasn't all of them. You see, it definitely wasn't all of them. And like I said, you got people who still want to buy into this lie because, again, they don't want you to know that you're the real Americans here. The only real Americans here are black people, so-called black people. Those are the only real Americans. We done fought in every war for this country. Let's not forget. Everybody else came from elsewhere. Everybody. The whites, the Asians, the so-called Indians, or aka Mexicans, which are nothing but Asians, they came from elsewhere. Don't let these so-called Mexicans try to steal our heritage, because now they're trying to say the Mexicans, some stringy-haired, East Indian, Asian-looking Mexicans, that those are the real Olmecs. That's a damn lie. That's a lie. But see, the Mexicans done joined in on the lie with the white man, because I told you these humans are going to stick together in the last days. These dog-haired animal humans are going to stick together, man. And they're going to be trying to keep the lie back. They want to keep the real Americans back, the blood Americans, the ones who set the first civilizations down here in this country. And like I said, this ain't even up for no debate, man. This ain't even up for no debate. You guys who claim so much, and you claim that you all caught up in this whole Pan African thing and the ancestral DNA thing, why you niggas ain't go back to Africa, and why you didn't change your names to African names if y'all really believe you come from Africa? Why you ain't do that? Why you ain't going back to those parts of Africa where you claim you come from and changing your names back? Why you ain't doing that? Now, am I saying that some of our people are not from Africa? No, I'm not saying that. Of course they are. Our people was all over the place. So if you see some DNA pop up in Senegal or Mali or whatnot, that's nothing. Our people travel all over the place. Remember, there was no immigration law, and niggas would travel all over the damn place. So you might have an uncle or a cousin or a bunch of your family here. You might have a bunch of your family over here. But keep in mind that your foundation and your root is here in America. America is a bronze country. America is a bronze country. America is a bronze country, foremost by bronze Americans. Keep that in mind. Not no black Americans or no African Americans. No, bronze Americans. Our skin is not black. We was the first ones to set up trade here and live here, set up civilization here, set up law and order here. Let me tell you something. All of the traditions and the customs you've seen of the so-called Native American Indians, from the feathers and the bows and the arrows to the damn Mexicans and they damn colorful blankets and all that, and they hats and all that's Olmecs. That's all Olmecs. The ball games, playing the handball games and all this other stuff, all that's Olmecs. Inca, all of it. Do you know the number 0 come from the Olmecs? They brought the number 0 in. That's how far back our people go in this country. And that whole territory of what you call it South America, North America, Canada, Mexico, our people's all over this. And all of these current cultures that came after us absorbed bits and pieces of our culture. That somebody asks, well, where did their culture go? Their culture got absorbed by the next people that came behind us. That's where it went. You understand that? So the thing you looking up to calling Native American powwows and the feathers and the dancing and all this other stuff and all the tents and all that other stuff, that come from the Incas and the Aztecs and the Mayans. And the Olmec. That's all Olmec, and that's all Mesoamerican stuff. That's Mesoamerican stuff. Get that straight. That's Mesoamerican stuff, meaning bronze people culture. Bronze culture, which was copied by these people, these immigrants, because the first immigrants here in America was after we settled here, after we settled this place when there was nobody here, the bronze race, so-called black people, after we settled this place, the first immigrant was these Asians who crossed the Bering Straits. That was your first immigrants. Y'all gonna learn tonight. That was your first immigrants. That was the first ones we let come in here and mix their seed with us. And that's where your so-called Indians started to pop up at. Because the first Indians was very dark-skinned with that straight hair. That was from the Asian and black mix. And they, of course, took on our customs. You know, the bronze men was probably grabbing up the Asian women. You know how the niggas are, the nigger men. They was grabbing up the damn Asian women, having a ball, putting babies in them. You see? And they took on their customs. And that's where your whole Native American Indian thing come from. That's why on their totem poles, they got black heads on their totem poles. Those are really Olmec heads. That's really Olmec heads. You understand that? So please know that. Please know that. Our people didn't come in no chains here, man. They took our people and put our people in bondage here already, kidnapped our people and put them in bondage. Now, these people who, like I said, who claim that we Pan-African and that all life started in Africa, that's based on what? Please tell me what that's based on. See, because, again, you're going off of these white scientists, these white geneticists and these scientists. Right? That's what you're going off of. Now, they say the oldest civilization is in Mesopotamia. This is what they say in the Middle East. So the oldest civilization is in Mesopotamia, not in the Middle East, not in West Africa. But they say the oldest civilization is in the Middle East. Right? So civilization denotes life, because as soon as people start living in a certain place, they're going to start to be or become a civil group of people. So that means the civil governments and all this stuff was set up. So again, then that means that life wasn't started or life didn't begin, as they say, or society didn't begin in Africa. And see, they want you to only think that you're native to Africa. So if you say life started somewhere else or civilization started somewhere else, you already going to think it's automatically another race of people. Because in your mind, you don't think, black people, so-called black people, didn't go nowhere other than Africa. No, we was just in Africa and we was just basically running around butt naked and dancing to drums. No, we wasn't traveling nowhere. No, we wasn't no place else on the planet. We was just stuck in Africa. We was from Africa. We came from, and then eventually, no. And life started in Africa and blah, blah, blah. No. False. You'll never see the white man do that. He never locks himself into one landmass. He'll tell you, he was the original this, he was the original that. He had the nerve to tell them niggas in South Africa. He had the nerve to tell them, y'all, the Dutch, the white, that show you how bold a white man is. The damn Dutch, the so-called white man, he had the nerve to tell them niggas in South Africa, y'all came from Jamaica or some island. We was here first. That's what he had the nerve to tell them niggas that. So the white man got no problem with lying to you right in your face. It's that you stupid niggas believe him. And once he says something, it's gold to you. Like right now, I'm sitting up here presenting fact to you. It'll get some simple-minded Negro to come up here and say, yeah, well, where your books at saying it? And I quoted 3 sources the other night when that old nigga was on it, after he left. You know, the one who wanted to hear a book from the white man, basically saying, yeah, you know, you black people are the real Americans. You know, he wanted to hear that. It ain't good enough. And then when I pointed out the book, of course he ain't called back or apologized. Of course not. And he ain't going to go read the books. Because, again, you got a lot of slave-minded black people here who don't want the truth to come out. They love playing that role of the wounded Africans who came here in bondage and had their ass whooped by the white man and conquered and dominated by the white man. They love playing up that story because, again, they have an emotional attachment to that story. A lot of these Pan-Africanists have an emotional attachment to that whole slavery and chain story. A lot of them do have that. So when you tell them something else, because they don't have it drummed into their head for so long, for over 40 years, they don't have that story drummed into their head. They ain't trying to let that story go. They don't sit up here and watch Roots 100 times, Queen, what else? A Mandingo. They don't sit up here and watch all these slave movies. And these Negroes, and been told that they was African. They read a whole bunch of African books and all this other Congo crap. And they are convinced themselves that they are Africans, they black, we came here through slavery. These niggas have been programmed really good. So there's nothing you can do to raise their mind. There's nothing you can do to change their mind or extend their mind. They're gone. They are gone. You see? They love to be dominated. You see? But for the ones of our people who still got their minds together, got our minds in alignment, we know that we are the real American people. And that these Pan-Africanists, like I said, they are nothing but a bunch of black parrots who copying off of these Caucasians who set up that whole Pan-African black people to, because again, they had an agenda. They never wanted us to make the connection between us here in America and those Olmecs and those Aztecs and those Inca back then. They never wanted us. I know they was having a fit when Dr. Ivan Van Sertima book came out. They probably was trying to snatch that off the shelf. That's why I tell you all, when those books like that come out, or the thing about, so you got too many books on the Olmecs out right now, so it's going to be kind of hard for them to snatch them off the thing. So when you see those books with the first American civilization, the Olmecs and whatnot, when you see books like that, grab those books up, man, because and when the truth is being told, take those and whatnot, because our children need to see that, man. They still up here, and show you how the white man is. They still ain't coming out telling you the story that Alex Haley listed. If I don't tell you, I don't keep bringing it up, y'all gonna still believe that root story. They still ain't bringing out the fact that Alex Haley stole the story from a white man. He plagiarized. Now my question is this: if all these so-called black people came here and changed, you gonna tell me that he's the only one? He is the only one who came up and told his story of his family lineage to America. Where's the other people telling about their family lineage to America? Why is it only Alex Haley? You should have thousands and thousands and thousands of people talking about how their ancestors. You gonna tell me the white man made all of them be quiet? Nobody said nothing about Africa, how it was back in Africa. Nobody said nothing about that. He's the only one that could write a story on Africa. Come on, man. Why the white man ain't told the truth about how Alex Haley plagiarized it? Why, when they put the story back on 3 or 4 years ago, they still with this nonsense of Alex Haley's roots? Why they ain't telling the truth? Why ain't they telling the truth? Because that story serves as a good form of mind programming, a good form of mind control. That's why they ain't gonna tell that, because that was a major staple in the form of mind control for black people. That story right there, and they don't want to let that go. But so for them now to admit that it was a lie and that Alex Haley stole the story, they ain't trying to do that. They're not trying to do that. Y'all better wake the hell up, man. We'll be right back. They clearly said, I was watching this documentary about the Olmecs, that they were a Negro society, so-called Negro black society, and they were not tribal, they were not primitive, they were very high-tech. They had their own governmental system, right? So what does that tell you? The Incas, same people, right? Serpentine and the eagles and all this other stuff, right? So what they're telling you is that these people set up trade here, they set up society here, they lived here, right? Now, they obviously couldn't have come from some tribal Africans, because you got a lot of the tribal Africans in a lot of those places were primitive as hell, right? And they were not travelers. You could tell the people who were tribal, and you could tell the people who were more Eastern, the ones who were moving about and going into different places and when I had access to different places, travelers, right? So you could tell who was who. You could tell who the primitive people were, because the primitive people didn't travel. They stayed in their own regions. They didn't travel, right? The ones who were more advanced of our people, that was the Amen, they traveled, set up governments, went to different places, you know what I'm saying, took ships everywhere. So a lot of times when they tell you about ships and things like that, don't always think it's white people with ships. They had ships in the ancient world. And they found a lot of these ships that washed up on shores. They got a lot of these ships and whatnot that they don't broke down, that they keep in the museums and places where they're not going to show you. They had well-manned ships. These people were sailing for hundreds and hundreds of years. You're going to tell me their ships would be primitive? If these people who the Olmecs, now if they said, these Caucasian archaeologists and all these people said, these were not primitive people. They were very advanced. They had government. They were setting up trade, the Olmecs, right? They had their own, they had provinces or however they set it up, which would be like states today. So what does that tell you? And they had their societies going for hundreds and hundreds of years, far longer than the current American government. So what does that tell you? The Incas was 500 years. America ain't even seen 300 years yet. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you, and if they're advanced like that, obviously they was not primitive Africans. They didn't come from Africa or them primitive places like the white man trying to tell you. Now, isn't that right? Wouldn't that be right? Where could they have come from? And these people in America, when at the same time had they society set up, pyramid societies and all that set up, same time the Egyptians had their society set up. Same time. So what does that tell you? Middle Eastern bronze people who are of that projection of Amen, they were the leaders in setting up these societies. And yeah, they were primitive Africans, primitive blacks like your Shaka Zulu and them people. Yeah, they were in Africa, those type of people. Those primitive blacks were there, but they were part of the clones. Those primitive blacks were part of the clones, and mainly they were put there, and they lived in those areas because they did work. They did work for the advanced ones of our people who were traveling. Our people would come from different societies, and they would take and set up trade there and get from the Africans. You see, they don't tell you that. Our people was getting stuff from the Africans, getting trade and things from the Africans. That's why you think when the white man came there, they were so used to people coming there and trading with them. Whether it be people, whether it be slaves, because our people was doing that first. And certain places, in say like Egypt or early America, they was bringing slaves here from Africa. They did that. They traded people. So it was nothing when they was doing it with the white man. Yeah, they done that. You know what I'm saying? Some of them was just like, because the white, they were so degenerate, like I said, some of it would just end up being abuse, but they was used to doing stuff like that. But see, again, when you start getting into the Olmecs, you start getting into that history, you start getting into that, then you start getting more deeper into the story. It delves deeper into the story, or the real account, that the white man was in the first to have trade going on, slave trading going on, or in servitude or whatever. You see, the early Americans, we had that going on with the Africans. We had that going on with them. You see, because we was traveling all over the place. We would trade stuff with them, take stuff from them, bring it over here, plant stuff here. We was moving around. We was merchants. That's where the term merchant seamen come from. Merchant seamen come from the Olmecs and those people who was traveling around, setting up civilizations and societies. The Inca, those people, they was traveling, man. Same people, man. From the Egypt, the Sumer, all them people, same, like I said, break off and come from this part and this place and that part and whatnot. Same people, man. And they're the ones that sell America. So stop with this, because the white man gives this convenient answer that we all came from West Africa. Notice he makes sure he don't say the East. It's always conveniently the West. All Western African slave trading been going on there. That's nothing new. But a lot of them didn't come. They didn't come. Those who they did bring here, they didn't come like that through no force. That part is true. But our people had already settled this land. You see, they had already settled this land. Again, they don't want you to know that our people were in this land much longer than what you could call us being in what's called Africa. Our people were just here just as long as they say the time of civilization started in Africa. We was already in America. We was already in America. Trace back the time where they say civilization started here in America. That go all the way back to the ancient Egyptians and further back. That people were settling this place. Like I said, you better learn to understand why they want to push this whole African thing. And this is why I don't understand why you Pan-African niggas. Y'all sit here, y'all admit the white man called you African, right? You admit that the white man called you African. They didn't come from a so-called black person. You admit that. But then you have a hard time embracing the word American. Well, I'm about to make it a lot easier for y'all in a minute. You'll see what I'm saying by that. But we can embrace American a lot quicker than we can embrace African. Because, again, realistically, we're the only real Americans here. We're the only real Americans here. So why the hell do we have to reach all the way back over into Africa, into a society that's not even our own? You understand? When we've been here for hundreds and hundreds of years before the damn white man. And going back further than the so-called Asians, the Indians. Why the hell we got to reach back into Africa about some false slave trade? Why would we have to do that? Come on, man. We was already here. They did not bring no millions of black people here. That's a lie. They did not bring no hundreds of thousands of black people here. That's a lie. They did not have the technology to do that. Again, you niggas are so big on believing whatever the white man tell you. You're big on believing that. He keeps showing you that same goddamn diagram of the slave ships and how they had the slaves live. You really think these Caucasians was following a damn diagram of anything? If they had the diagram like that, how was people getting sick and being all on top of each other like that? One minute they show you, oh, they was packed this way, but then, like I said, the way they show you it will show you that it's impossible for them to be all on top of each other, but then they show you, oh, well, they was all on top of each other. Which one is it? They want to always make it like it was some old skilled diagram and how they had a plan. They ain't had no plan. They was just, let's just bring all these niggas over to wherever, you know what I'm saying, and whatever, you know, let's just get this money. So that's only going to go but so long. That's only going to go but for so long. Okay? That's only going to last but for so long. And after a while, the people, let's just say, the people ain't going to keep giving you people and stuff like that. And they, like I said, whatever the case may be, that's only going to go but for so long. You're going to keep sending people over there. You're going to have these white men that's going to keep going over there, knowing they're going into a place where they could get with disease and all other kind of stuff that they spreading and whatnot. They're going to be on ship with people who are diseased. They own diseases or meshing with each other. People, who want to sign up for that? I'm gonna be a slave captain on a slave ship. Well, I'm gonna have to be forcing people, pissing and shitting on they all over themselves, smell, disease and germs. Yeah, I'm signing up for that job, right? I'm gonna sign up for that job. How many white men gonna sign up for that? Then you had the so-called Africans. They tell you when they tried to do that a few times, the damn Africans jumped off the ship, killed themselves, and took over the damn whole ship. Took the whole damn ship over. So who want to keep going through that? How is that even worth money? You see? Because after you done heard, because come on, you know how scary white people are. After they done heard niggas done killed everybody on the ship, took over, or these people got diseases coming up the ship. How many of them white people you think gonna keep signing up for that job? Let's be for real. How many of them gonna keep signing up for that job? You done heard all them horror stories, and that had to happen a lot. They gonna keep signing up for that. Stop it, man. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say something else. How you know it wasn't no Africans they brought over here is because if you look at the early Africans and whatnot, the ones where they claim they went in and got, if you look at them, a lot of those Africans, them African women, them black females, they ain't got no damn hair, man. The nigga woman over there in Africa, they bald-headed as hell, man. They ain't got no hair. No disrespect. I'm not talking about you the bronze sister. I'm talking about you real primitive African women. Them niggas is women bald as hell, man. What? But when they show you all the slave thing, all the nigga women got, all the so-called blondes, when the black women, they all got hair. They got hair and all this other stuff. They got afros, or they hair nappy as hell, but they got hair. That ain't the damn African. Them ain't them primitive African people. They ain't got no goddamn hair. You understand? Come on, man. And them goddamn slaves look like a bunch of scared niggas they got from down south. When they have them on them auction blocks, they look like a bunch of scared niggas they done got from down south, raped the women, put them up there butt naked and whatnot, degraded them. They look like a bunch of niggas they got from down south somewhere. Or someplace else, some Americans. They ain't look like no damn Africans, because if they was some real Africans, them niggas would be, you already know how them Africans look. You understand? Especially back then. Them Africans looked scary as hell, and they was funky as hell. You understand that? That was some damn tribal people for real. You want to talk about trying to fight with somebody to try to put them in chains. Them Africans back then, they didn't give a shit about dying. So who the hell would, come on, let's be realistic, raw and uncut. The Africans back then, they didn't care about living and dying. They fight every day. So how the hell you gonna make them submit to slavery? Them Africans crazy as cat shit. You can't make them do nothing. And they were strong back then too? No, that was niggas that was already here, that they broke, that they kidnapped, that they was around white people since they was coming here from England and stuff like that, who knew how to speak English. That's how they knew the language. Come on, man. You understand that? You talking about them real blue-black Africans and whatnot, and them dark Africans, they funky as hell, they fight you, they strong as goddamn gorillas. You gonna tell me them little ass white people gonna put them in, and then when you get them off the ship, you gonna beat them and whip them, and come on, man. Stop. You understand that? Them niggas could take some lashes. Bullets too. They got that thick reptilian skin damn near. Them blue-black Africans. You gonna tell me that's who they brought with them BB buckshot nappy-ass hair? They ain't bring them here. You understand? They knew who they was going to get. They got niggas here in America. It was safer that way. You understand that? It was safer that way. Man, realize when people tell you stuff, what don't sound right and what sound about right. Realize what sound right and what don't even sound right at all. We'll be right back.
And we back. Like I said, a good example, and one of my students just brought that up. One of my followers, she says, what about the Amistad thing that happened? Thank you, Enra Sharon, Ms. Enra Sharon. You're a perfect example of what I was just saying. Now, did I not say they would show you what would happen if they actually tried to take these real bona fide blue-black, dark-skinned, easy buckshot Africans, tried to take them into bondage? They showed you what would happen. Now, that Amistad thing really happened. See, that happened quite a bit. When they tried to take them real, authentic tribal Africans into bondage, they tried it, and them Africans flipped the hell out, man. They was killing them crackers left and right. They was flipping, man. You gonna take those kind of people and you're gonna keep transporting them type of people? You gonna transport them kind of people? No. See, the white man tells you the truth in bits and pieces. And see, you black people are too slow to understand it. You niggas gotta wait for him to just basically just tell you, just spill the whole thing before you put the puzzle, the pictures together what he's trying to tell you. What he told you was, so this is the difference between that and roots. What he told you in the Amistad story was that them goddamn Africans, they was wild as they was wild as all outdoors. They was crazy, and they was gonna fight. And they fought, and they killed, and they didn't care about dying. You understand that? That's what the Africans were. What they got instead was niggas like Solomon Northup, who was already here,
who were the descendants of the Olmecs and the Aztec and the Inca, the ones who was comfortable in America living amongst the Indians, and they would just kidnap them, or the ones who came here with the British, you know, as who was living in Europe already as indentured servants, because they had indentured servants come over from England. They had black indentured servants came over from England too. It was some Uncle Tom niggas from there. Some of them came over. You know what I'm saying? And some of them was coon. So and then they got some of these niggas over here in America. That's the slave trade. You see, that's the ones who they kidnapped, and they took them. It was safer to do that. They is not kidnapping no real, authentic tribal Africans. You understand? They showed you the mentality of those people. You understand that? They showed you the mentality of those people. So a lot of time when you see those people, you can tell the looks of those people, the ones who look like they're American blacks. You understand that? They look like American blacks. Okay? They let you know the ones who was going to give you hell about that. So after a while, it made sense just to take them. You know what I mean? It made sense that they're not going to go get those kind of people like that. The ones who going to fight. The ones who don't care about dying. You understand? They ain't going to go get those kind of people. You see, because they took a chance every time they did that. It just made sense to get the people who they kidnapped. But they don't want to tell you that. So what's the easiest way is to say that, oh, well, these are African slaves. This is, you know, these are not kidnapped negroes from America that we just taken and beaten and raping and stuff like that and selling them. No, these are kidnapped Africans from someplace else. No, excuse me, these are slave Africans from somewhere else that we bought. No, these are not beating up black people, because you look at this, I'm telling you, keep looking, how easy would it be to just tag Africans? You know that Africans got a certain look to them, okay? Especially the ones they was talking about getting, the ones they talking about. So, again, why do they always get African Americans? This is the key to how you know it's really a program. Why, if it's an African slave trade, do they always get African American actors to play the role? They only did that one time with this girl Lupita Nyong'o and this thing, which was kind of close, but like I said, Lupita Nyong'o was not common to be on a goddamn slave plantation. Somebody that looked like Lupita Nyong'o was not on a slave plantation. Right or wrong? You tell me. Somebody that looked like that was not on slave plantation. That's why it's odd to see certain black people who they talking about with slaves. You be like, nah, they don't look like that. You see? Notice when if this is supposed to be an African slave trade, why don't they ever get Africans to play the slaves? Or have Africans in images that look like the slaves? They look like an African American. You understand that? They look like African Americans in the picture, and they always get so-called African Americans to play the roles. They always get African Americans to play the roles. And then when the so-called African Americans get settled into their position as slaves, they still don't have the African features. Those African features are still not there. What you call an African feature. I don't care how much the white man raped into your bloodline, the ones who they didn't bother, that's still not there. You understand? That's all that is. They had to start whitewashing the story. You see? But even the Nigerian-looking ones and whatnot, because they look bronze and whatnot, but again, the Africans they talking about that they went and got, that really did happen. They tried to go get them tribal Africans. Them tribal Africans was not having it. That's why when the ones they made it with, they dropped some of them off in Haiti. You know what I'm saying? They dropped some of them off in different places, Dominican Republic, things, but they tried to scatter them niggas out, man. A lot of them was not going to make it to America. You understand? They really went in there and got them people. They just took what they had. And a lot of those people who they enslaved was already on those islands. You see? You're going to take the people who already on the island. You done got in, they coming in, they see the people living there. They lie, and then a lot of those islands like that, Jamaica and things like that, they lie against the Haitians. They brought the people there. That's a lie, man. Those people were already in those islands, man. Those people were already there in those islands. They brought them over some part. No, those people was already in. That's because that's always the lie the white man tell you. You always, every place you got, notice this lie is always, every place that you got in the world happened because, no, not because y'all chose to come over here on your own ships and got here, or that you navigated yourself or just traveled. No, you got here through slavery from the white man. That's how you got to Haiti. That's how you got to Puerto Rico. That's how you got... Notice everything is slavery? Really? I don't even sound right. That don't sound right. They want you to, the white man always got a way of hyping up and telling lies and making up stuff. No, they enslaved the people that were there. They enslaved the people that were there. They got certain niggas to help them enslave the people and work with them, the people that were there. Just like they do in Africa. Like I said, the white man could not have dominated or colonized no parts of Africa unless he got niggas that were already there, the baddest, roughest niggas to help him. Because if everybody said no, it's nothing they could have did. You see, they get the sell out niggas to help. You understand? They always got that even here in America, to sell out niggas to help them. Because that's how that works. It ain't everybody fighting. You see, it ain't everybody fighting. It's certain people surrendering. And again, I'm going to say something about this ancestral DNA thing. Like I said, y'all better watch yourselves giving up your ancestral DNA to these things. Like you so-called black men, you might find your DNA being bought by the FBI or the CIA, or your DNA end up some damn where at a crime scene, and you ain't got no alibi, and they telling you, oh, your DNA was at this crime scene. You got to ask yourself, you selling your DNA. Right? You know, they're going to start framing a lot of niggas off of that DNA. That thought came to me. You just giving your DNA and they telling you, oh, your genetic, where you come from, and this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. You know, they always tell you niggas, yo, you from West. That's always you from this part in West Africa. You from this part, and, you know, or you got family in, because they show you again, then they showed you, oh, you got family lineage in Europe, you know. So then they'll make you say, oh, that because you got family lineage in Europe, you white. There's niggas in Europe. There's niggas in Europe, in America, in Asia. But because your mind thinks, oh, you know, I'm African, so I'm only relegated to being in Africa, so my bloodline has to just be in Africa. There's niggas everywhere. It's everywhere. So miss me with all that ancestral DNA BS, man. They want to push the same mind screw that we all come from Africa and we was all in one place at one time. It's a load of BS, man. But see, the white man, he get to be all over the world. He get to be in Dutch, French, Irish, you know, all the white places. We only in Africa. That's it. We just some part in Africa. The white man could be everywhere. He'd be in Australia, Europe, he'll be everywhere. They play these games, man. And they got a lot of these black boule lick-up Negroes to help them install this in your mind. The biggest one tonight, like I told you, is your Alex Haley with that goddamn roots, that lie. That they still to this day won't admit was a lie. They still claiming that it's Alex Haley's story. When the miniseries came back on again, like 4 years ago, they still saying it's Alex Haley's story, his family's story. They still promoting it like that. Why are they still promoting the lie? Because they want you to stay as a bunch of slaves. They know that is a major program. They want to re-trigger that program in your mind. Don't fall for it. So let me go ahead and read these questions before we get out of here. How can you debunk Pan-African
Africanism, how can you debunk Pan-Africanism and ancestral DNA? Because again, Pan-Africanism is based on the belief that black people all come, so-called black people, negroids, all come from one place called Africa, which is a lie, because again, they say that life starts in water, that which we know. So let's just say we take the water route, or how all life got here. Water, life don't come from no dirt ground, dry ground. It comes out of water. So how the hell can you say that life started in Africa unless you want to say that that land mass was underwater? And if that land mass was underwater and life started there, then you just call it Africa. What does that mean? It was all one land mass. Everything was together at one time. So how do you determine if that's Africa? And that's not this part, or that's not that part. Just because you saying it don't mean anything. It's just you naming things. What does that mean? Nothing. And the DNA thing, our people was all over the planet. So again, if you have a cousin, if you have family in Senegal, or family in if you got family in Senegal, if you got family in this part of West Africa, or family over in the Dutch, France, wherever the hell, I said black people was everywhere. Bronze people were all over the planet. In Asia, everywhere. So stop necessarily thinking that somebody, is of another race. Are we really from Africa? No. We from this whole planet belongs to us. This is our planet. We really came down in the Middle East. That's where our people came down. And where the first civilizations was in the Middle East, or what they call the Middle East of Africa, that's really where our people, again, these terminologies come from the white man. Why was there black presence in Africa? Because again, we were controlling resources there from satellite places. But that wasn't our home. We was all over the world, man. And one of those places being America. The white man was not the first to start trade in Africa. We was. Did we colonize Africa first? Yeah, we did. Africa was colonies of ancient societies, but more or less we did trade with them, and we put things in their society, civilization in their society, the little bit that it was. Why would we falsely call Africans to promote this black thing, this savage thing that we a bunch of savage blacks? Why did the beast want to erase the Inca and the Olmec and the Mesoamerican culture? Reason, because he knows it traces back to us. That's why. He's going to tell you, all these cultures just disappeared. Olmecs, the Aztecs, they just disappeared. The people disappeared. Their children disappeared. Everything disappeared. No, miss me with it. And that's it. We're going to close out in the name of Amen, by the power of Amen, and Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and Amen we continue forward forever. I am the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. This has been Mentellect Radio. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow night at 10. Good night.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do. We don't